Hello everyone and welcome back to Karate Does Jiu-Jitsu. My name is Patrick Prager and I am a karate black belt of over 20 years, as well as now a Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. I got promoted to brown belt in October of last year, 2023. And today we're going to take a look at some training rounds against one of my black belt coaches, as well as one of my brown belt training partners. So my first goal while going against Coach Sergio here was to not get swept easily. And if I did get swept, it's to scramble. So I immediately failed the first task of getting swept, but I scrambled successfully, freeing my leg, and now we're into the stand-up game. Sergio has really good judo, so I know to expect that some throws are coming, or at least some attempts and some attacks. And right now we're just looking at the grip battle. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get a cross sleeve grip and hopefully cut an angle, get a belt grip with my left hand. So I'm able to achieve this, but he immediately threatens the throat, and I have to kind of abandon that and defend. From here, he has the dominant inside head position, and he has this super powerful overhand grip on my belts. Once again, I'm able to scramble out, and I sprawl here, looking for a cross sleeve grip. He looks to sit out, but I do circle to his back. So one of Sergio's strengths is he stays super calm in bad positions. Right now, he's just keeping that space between his elbow and his knee tight, so it's hard for me to slip in a heel. And when I do, he just kind of pops it right back out. He's not panicking in this situation at all. And if he notices my weight is forward, then he starts to dump that weight forward, which is why I abandoned position. And we're just fighting for our grips right now. I'm looking to threaten the collars because if I just sit here defensively on his back, he will eventually escape. But I see an opportunity to sneak these feet in, which he gives me a little chuckle there. But you'll see in a second here just how good Sergio's scrambles are. And whenever he's in a bad position, he doesn't let you solidify it. You see how my bottom leg is across his hips, but as I look to switch over, he perfectly rolls and sweeps me. I end up on my back. So that was an example of me not being patient enough, trying to rush that second hook, and I ended up on the bottom position for my effort. I am experienced enough with the pressure game now, since Sergio's been crushing me for months and years at this point, that I do stay calm, and I'm looking for an opportunity to try and hook onto a leg, pull him into half guard or even quarter guard. But Sergio keeps circling out here, and he's blocking my hips. At the same time, he's threatening my arms. So I do switch my hips to turn into him because I don't want to have back exposure. And Sergio's in his favorite knee on belly position, and now we're in north-south. So obviously not where I want to be, but you see how I'm staying active on the bottom. I'm never just settling, and even in these really uncomfortable positions, I'm looking to make sure that I don't get both of my shoulder blades pinned to the ground. So I'll turn one direction. When I notice there's a threat, I'll turn the other direction. But at this point, Sergio's pressure and experience in game on top results in him finishing with a Kimura. So overall, I'm proud of how that first half of the round went. I'm glad I scrambled. And even though it did end up with submission, I hit a lot of my goals of not just accepting positions and was fighting the whole time. So you see how Sergio was controlling my collar there, and now he has this cross sleeve grip, and I'm in a lot of trouble here. Sergio with the cross sleeve grip is incredibly good at sweeping, and I'm looking to keep my weight and my hips back and to just really mitigate this cross sleeve grip so he can't fully get my back, but he shoots his hips under, and even though I try and post on my head, he's able to finish with the sweep. So we're going to move on now to a recent round I had against one of my main training partners, Danny. Came up the ranks together. We've been promoted at every belt level together, and we both got promoted to brown belt at the same time. So as you can see here, Danny is a really tall guy. I think he's 6'3" or 6'4", a former baseball player, so also very athletic. I do have a speed and kind of scrambling advantage over him, and I'm going to try and use that to the best of my ability today. So once again, I shoot in and threaten his leg. Apologies, some of this round does go off screen here. And an important note here is as he takes me down to the ground, I do have this underhook position, and I'm just making sure that I'm staying off to the outside, and I'm really trying to get up to my knee to reverse. And that was an important sequence here, but Danny's doing a good job of not settling, so I have to finish the scramble. And you can see anytime you're facing these brown and black belt levels, no one's willing to just give up the position. A lot of time at lower belts, whenever our back hits the ground, we say, okay, it's time to set up my defenses. But you'll notice against better people that even if their back hits the ground, they're quote unquote swept, they'll keep scrambling and look for an opportunity to advance or reverse the position. Now, with that said, I do manage to pass Danny's guard here, and I notice that he's leaving that arm exposed, so I drop back for an armbar. I never feel the need with this quick armbar to throw both legs over. What I'll do is I'll put the leg closest to his legs into his armpit, and then the leg closest to his head. As I'm falling down, I'll swing that over the top of his head, and you can hit a nice quick armbar from there if you notice that anyone is trying to post with their arms as you're passing into side control specifically. So that's something I've been working on a lot recently because I face a lot of bigger guys who just kind of bench press me off or keep that stiff arm to not let me drop my hips, and oftentimes that armbar is there. So Danny is looking to circle under, and I essentially just jump over his legs there, kind of using my speed and explosive abilities against him. But you'll see, again, Danny's always threatening. He has this lapel grip over my shoulder, so I circle to the opposite side to kind of alleviate some of that pressure on the shoulder, and I am able to finish that guard pass and end up in side control on the opposite side that I was passing. Danny's keeping his knee up tight, so I can't easily step over into mount, and he switches it to the near side here because that's a better option for blocking the hip. And you notice that I'm still kind of dealing with this lapel that's over my shoulder. So I'm giving him a little cross-face pressure. He makes space, and we're back in that half guard briefly, but I go immediately into a knee cut position. What I'm focusing on here is getting that collar grip up by his head and turning my hip out, maintaining that pressure on the crossface. I'm going to keep circling towards his head and do manage to sneak my knee over into mount. I'm going to split up the clip here because my coach, Professor James, moves the camera over a little bit. Nothing happened in between, but once again, Danny is using that lapel grip to just kind of control my posture. I don't mind because I am able to hike my knees up, and by bringing my knees up under his armpit, it exposes his arm for potential arm bars, but it also takes my weight away from his hips, and with larger guys, they'll use the hip bump to really launch you forward. So the higher up I can get on his chest, the more comfortable I feel, and the less those hip bumps affect me. I notice, again, like I said, that his arm is there, so I'm going to be looking for another armbar here. I'm trying to get more threatening in general. I'm good positionally, but I want to start finishing more, so I see the arm is exposed, and I go into kind of an S-mount position here. I'm threatening the neck so he doesn't notice the arm, and I drop back into an armbar. He's briefly defending, just throwing a leg to see if he can pull his arm free, but I switch and follow the elbow, bring it across my thigh line instead of my hips, and we finish with that armbar. I hope you guys found this video helpful. My goal generally for these is to just show my training rounds, my everyday training rounds, what I'm working on, what I'm doing well, and what I'm failing at, and pick up any little tip, whether it's something as simple as body positioning or something a little more detailed like armbar setups, and mostly just my kind of day-to-day training and my journey here as someone who was doing karate for decades and jumping into jiu-jitsu.